Hello, and welcome to this video on mock product development using Scrum. As part of the product development exercise, we will go through a simulated but complete Scrum project, practicing all meetings prescribed by Scrum and using the related artifacts. For this purpose, we will use a project which involves developing an online sales channel for a fictional company. And for practical purposes, we will focus solely on the web pages needed for the online sales channel, and assume that any necessary infrastructure, databases, server interfaces, etc., back-office functionality, human and other resources already exist. Now let's take a look at the scenario to understand it better.
Okay, everybody, in your case study book, if you want to get out your case study book, we're going to start on page 3. All right, now this is the paper prototyping exercise that we're going to do. Because let's imagine that we've got a customer, and that customer is VM Foods. And as it says here, VM Foods is a 10-year-old nationwide grocery chain with about 100 stores. Lately, the management team at VM Foods has observed that their customers are leading a fast-paced lifestyle and do not like to travel long distances to do their grocery shopping. Now, they also feel, because grocery shopping is not a highly involved process, and because every time they shop at VM Foods, they get high-quality, produce, the best way that they could go about increasing this would be to basically deliver the food to people's homes. All right, now in this regard, a representative from VM Foods, so let's pretend that's me, has approached the team, and they would like to have a website created to prepare their online delivery order and make payments, all right, for customers.
This is a meeting involving the key stakeholders of the project. This meeting helps identify the business context, business requirements, stakeholder expectations, and help develop an effective project vision statement. A good project vision explains the business need and what the project is intended to meet, rather than how it will meet the need. So an example of a simple project vision for this project can be help VM Foods develop an online sales channel. A good project vision also serves as an inspiration and provides focus for the entire project. After developing the project vision, the next step is to create a prioritized product backlog. This should contain high-level user stories, which are also called epics. A typical prioritized product backlog for the online sales channel project with 3 sprints can be seen below. Remember that there can be issues while creating a product backlog. In some cases, the team members might have disagreements with the product owner regarding prioritization of product backlog items, PBIs, and they might take exception to the way the PBIs are defined. So, it's a good practice for the product owner to define the tasks and take feedback from the team members regarding the prioritization of PBIs, and to ensure that the product backlog is groomed and defined clearly and regularly. Now let's discuss release planning meeting. In a release planning meeting, the product owner explains the project requirements to the team, decides on the length of the sprint, and discusses deadlines and the product backlog. Release planning meeting enables the Scrum team to have an overview of the releases and delivery schedule for the products they are developing, so that they can align their targets with the expectations of the product owner and other relevant stakeholders. Release planning in projects may either be driven by functionality, in which the objective is to deliver a predetermined set of functionality in phases as well as at the end of the project, or the planning may be driven by date, in which a set of features is released at predefined intervals throughout the project. Here also you will find certain issues cropping up, such as the product owner trying to convince the team to take on more than they want to, the product owner not agreeing with activity estimates, and/or lack of inputs or consensus among various product owners. To address these issues, it is imperative for the Scrum core team, i.e. Scrum team, Scrum Master, and Product Owner, to have consensus or agreement on the following: ideal velocity that the Scrum team can achieve. Estimates are prepared by the Scrum team members and the Product Owner can raise justifiable objections. Responsibility and accountability for key project decisions rests with the Product Owner. In the next part of the exercise, we will discuss sprint planning meeting. Hello, and welcome to this session on mock product development using Scrum. In this video, we will discuss sprint planning meeting. After release planning meeting, the Scrum team uses the prioritized product backlog to plan the next sprint, commit to the scope of the next sprint, and create a sprint backlog. The Scrum team has to list all the tasks related to each user story and estimate them. And finally, create an initial burn-down chart. These activities are carried out as part of the sprint planning meeting. This meeting is time-boxed to 8 hours for a 1-month sprint and is divided into 2 parts. Objective definition. During the first half of the meeting, the product owner explains the highest priority user stories or requirements in the prioritized product backlog to the Scrum team. The Scrum team, in collaboration with the product owner, then defines the sprint goal. Task estimation. During the second half of the meeting, the Scrum team decides how to complete the selected prioritized product backlog items to fulfill the sprint goal. Now let us use the table given below, which includes PBIs of the first sprint, and discuss in detail the user stories and the related tasks. Requirements. Login feature. This is the first PBI in the backlog, and some of the user story descriptions and tasks related to this are: as a customer, I would like the website to have a feature through which the visitor can create a unique login for themselves, so that VM Foods can maintain a database of their visitors. As a web developer, I would like to track user data through their unique login, so that the client can make use of this data to customize offerings to the visitors. As a product owner, I want to ensure that the customer is able to log in as a guest if he or she does not want to log in. The login feature should be placed on the top right section of all pages. The first-time login should collect information like name, email ID, delivery address, age, which is optional, gender, which is optional, and family size, which is also optional. Customers are allowed to create a unique password for themselves. Payment mechanism. This is the next item in the list of PBIs. The user story descriptions and tasks related to this PBI are: the website should also have accessibility to various payment gateways in order to enable payment after the shopping. The page should be redirected to the payment gateway when the customer clicks the Proceed button after they finish. The gateway should return to the payment success page on the website, which should have links to any loyalty discounts or referral discounts that we provide. Generic browsing and shopping cart. This is the next PBI. Its user story descriptions and tasks are: users should be able to, at a cursory glance, get an idea about the products in the VM Foods portfolio. It should include a downloadable magazine that includes all products at VM Foods. Users should have a shopping cart facility to track the products they've added. If the user has not completed the transaction in a given visit, the cart should feature it in the next visit as pending items. There should be a mechanism wherein the customer can alter products on the cart, increase quantity, change the brand, etc., without having to delete the product or go back to buy it. Issues to be addressed during sprint planning. When creating a sprint backlog, we may find many issues that should be resolved before starting the design process. One of them is when the outlier will not change his or her mind. Generally, once the estimates are made, 2 outliers are given an opportunity to provide justifications for their estimates. After this discussion, the team conducts another estimation exercise, and this process is carried out until a consensus is reached. In case there is an outlier who refuses to change their estimate, it would be a good idea to look into the technical functionalities of the task to be completed. Another issue is that one person dominates the planning session and doesn't give others the opportunity to share their ideas. Because Scrum is a technique that requires a lot of consensus-based decision-making, it is a good practice to appoint one member as the devil's advocate, who questions every decision and ensures that each team member's opinion is considered. The team's disagreements with the product owner about priority of user stories can also be an issue. Generally, the tasks that have the highest business impact are delivered at the earliest. It is the responsibility of the product owner to ensure that the team is aligned with the business objectives, and if there are any disagreements, the product owner should clearly explain the logic behind assigning higher business value to certain tasks. Ultimately, the product owner has the final say. Daily stand-up meetings. After creating the sprint backlog and committing to the delivery of an agreed set of user stories, it is time for the actual product development work using the specialist skills, tools, and techniques. To remain on track and meet the goals set forth in sprint planning, the Scrum team performs daily stand-up meetings each day of the sprint. Based upon the work performed in the previous work day, each team member answers 3 relevant questions. What did I complete yesterday? What will I complete today? Are there any impediments? It's the responsibility of the Scrum Master to ensure that the daily stand-up meetings happen without any hassles. And it's the responsibility of every Scrum team member to ensure that they actively participate during the meetings by sharing project information and promoting team understanding. Representatives of key stakeholders such as sponsors, users, suppliers, etc. can attend these meetings to provide clarifications on products, specialist tools and techniques, development activities, any changes required in the products being developed, etc. There are some issues that the Scrum teams generally face while performing daily stand-up meetings. They are too much interference from external parties in the working of the team and planning and implementation of mitigation actions for issues and risks during the daily stand-ups. It's imperative that the external parties only observe the stand-up and do not interfere. The Scrum Master has to ensure that they do not interfere during the meetings and that any concerns they might have are addressed offline. Also, the goal of daily stand-up meetings is merely to provide updates to the product owner and the team. It's not a venue to solve problems. If any member starts discussing the problem faced, they are to be stopped. Any such discussions can take place between relevant members after the meeting. Next, in this mock product development exercise is the implementation of Sprint Review Meeting and Retrospect Sprint Meeting. First, let's discuss the Sprint Review Meeting. The Sprint Review Meeting is time-boxed to 4 hours for a 1-month sprint. During the Sprint Review Meeting, the Scrum team presents the deliverables of the current sprint to the product owner. The product owner reviews the product or product increment against the agreed acceptance criteria and either accepts or rejects the completed user stories. Some of the major issues faced by Scrum teams during sprint review meetings are: a team member may refuse to accept rejection when the product owner rejects a product backlog item. Having a clearly defined acceptance criteria is the key to ensuring that there is no ambiguity in understanding what is required. The product owner also has to ensure that this acceptance criteria is communicated to the team members and that all members of the team are in agreement with the acceptance criteria in the sprint planning meeting. It is also a good practice to keep reminding the team members of the acceptance criteria for the tasks they are involved in, maybe by having the acceptance criteria for current sprint tasks written on a board or a chart. Team members blame each other for the failure to complete sprint goals. Scrum has always been about collective responsibility. Therefore, the failure of a sprint is the failure for the whole team. It is the responsibility of the team and the Scrum Master to ensure a smooth progression during the sprint process. It is possible that the team overestimated their team velocity, or that one or more members were not present for the whole duration of the sprint due to some unplanned circumstances. Investigate the cause of the failure and try to resolve it. Finally, let's conclude the mock product development case study with a discussion on the Retrospect Sprint Meeting. The Retrospect Sprint Meeting is time-boxed to 4 hours for a 1-month sprint and conducted as part of the Retrospect Sprint process. During this meeting, the Scrum team gets together to review and reflect on the previous sprint in terms of the processes followed, tools employed, collaboration and communication mechanisms, and other aspects relevant to the project. The team discusses what went well during the previous sprint and what did not go well, the goal being to learn and make improvements in the following sprints. Some improvement opportunities or best practices from this meeting could also be updated as part of the Scrum Guidance Body documents. And with that, we've come to the end of this video on mock product development using Scrum. Thank you, and keep learning Scrum with us.